Campo, I suppose what was discussed yesterday at Don's, the thing in his house, or the meeting gathering in his house yesterday?
Oh, well, there was no discussion. It was just more a get-together and, I guess, away from a footy environment and share some food and have a chat and just talk about life. It was nothing to do about footy. There wasn't a lot of footy conversation at all. It was just more a gathering where we thought we could get together just to get some energy around what this week looks like. So nothing to hide.
So nothing, not saying anything to hide, but any sort of no sort of review into what went wrong on Saturday or what's been going wrong the last month?
No. As I said, it was more just a gathering. We don't get an opportunity to do that stuff a lot these days with the way the program is. So we thought it was a great opportunity. Instead of catching up today, it was good in that environment. Get the players, partners, and the kids, and there was great energy there. It's great when you had the kids and the partners there. They feel it as much as anyone. So, and we need the players, partners, and the kids to support them as well.
Why is that important at the moment?
Why is it important? Well, clearly we're not playing the way that we want to play, so we want to make sure that we do everything we can to help the players be in the best headspace to perform on the weekend. So, as I said, we don't do it a lot because of the programming, so we thought it was a great opportunity.
You've been around football clubs for a long time, Campo. There's been some external critics out there that have said, Don has lost the playing group. Do you think there is behind him as you've seen in your time? Yeah,
well, I think people are paid for their opinion, and that's fine. But the reality is those people who make those opinions or those assumptions aren't in these four walls. And that's fine, they can have their opinion, but at the end of the day, we'll trust the guys that we've got in this footy club, we'll trust the players, we'll trust the people who are in those positions to make good decisions, but we're going to do it together. That's what footy clubs are about. You do it, you win together, you lose together, and you find a way together. So we'll come through this.
Was yesterday planned off the back of what happened on Saturday?
Yeah.
So it was a direct reaction to the game? And there was
probably not just the game. It was probably the last couple of weeks more than anything. So yeah, it was one of those things that we had a discussion on. We thought it'd be a great idea, and all reports, the guys, they loved it. It was really good just to have that downtime, I guess.
So is it the sort of intense nature of preparing for a game each week? The players didn't get enough time to relax. Was there something you identified that maybe needed to change for them?
No, not really. It was, as I said, it was probably just more, after the game, after the month that we've had. The pressure's real. That's the reality of this sport and this town. The pressure's real. So we want to try and make sure that they at least get a release and can come in today ready to go to perform against St Kilda.
When you say they could have got a release, they could have got a release by themselves, with their families, with their partners, doing stuff that's not, with people who are coaches. Why do they need to be together?
Well, it was just something different, Lee. We've got to keep trying things. That's why we're in these positions. We're trying to find different ways to help them and help us as a footy club to be better on the weekend. So I don't think there's any harm in that.
Who held court?
Sorry?
Who held court?
No one in particular. No, there's a lot of kids running around there, so we're a very fertile footy club, that's for sure. So, and we've got a fair few on the way. So and it was great. The energy was great. The kids bring a different perspective and playing foosball and all that sort of stuff, and it was good. It was a good afternoon.
I suppose, from your experience when you've been in footy clubs, have you appreciated the sort of regeneration that sort of afternoon can bring, and how will it affect the players, do you hope?
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, hopefully it does it in a positive way. That's the aim. But it does. Those things are important, to the group and the fabric of the footy club, because it is a pressure environment, and that's what you sign up for. The players understand that. But when you're not playing at the level that you'd like to be playing at, you deserve the pressure and the scrutiny that comes with that. So we want to try and make sure we provide the best environment that we can.
So is Eddie a chance to come back this week before the weekend?
Yeah, it was great. I haven't watched the game yet. Obviously, he just got back, but all reports he played with a better energy. His pressure was up, but not only him. Sam Jacobs was good again. You saw Bryce had 40. Richard Douglas, by all reports, was very, very good. Hugh Greenwood, played with a level of intensity that we know he can play at. And there was a couple of young guys. Chase Jones looks like he played really well as well. So we've got some guys that are putting their hands up for selection, which is great.
So it could be a few changes given the seniors lost and the sample guys. Those played well.
We'll pick the team as we always do, best to beat St Kilda.
What about Alex Keith? He obviously was emergency, but had that little ankle problem. Is he likely to sit out again, needs a bit more rest, or is he bailed?
Yeah, well, the conversation was we'll be getting ready for West Coast.
From a coaching perspective, what worried you most on Saturday?
What worried me most? Well, it was probably just the holistic, really. I mean, I thought our contest work was down, our energy was down, which was noticeable. So that was the main takeaway. So we're trying to delve into that as to why that's happening. And part of that was yesterday having that opportunity to catch up and see whether we can unpack a bit of that.
Do you need to start considering a tag at all? A couple of weeks, a couple of sort of individuals have got away from you?
Yeah, well, we had a plan for Cripps. Did you watch the game?
No, I watched the game.
And who went to him?
There was obviously nobody that was there for 4 quarters that could
Well,
stop
there
him.
was. So Slaney was there on him for 3 quarters,
Slaney's
so
like
and he
an
couldn't
offensive
impact.
He's an offensive midfielder.
Well, not
as
necessarily. Not necessarily. So we had a plan for Cripps. Yeah, he's a great player. So that's what happens. But we'll make a decision week to week on what's the best for us to beat opposition teams. If you look at it over the year, I think we've got it right for most of the year.
Does dropping Eddie create disharmony? Don said he would address that, and wonder whether it did upset the apple cart a little bit more than he'd intended.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't got around all the players and asked them individually what the effect of dropping a player has on the group. But once again, we've got a responsibility as well to the team around what we need to make sure we win on the weekend.
Scotty, you've been a senior assistant for a long time, very highly regarded. Carlton's still looking for a coach. You're a legend of that club. Would you consider senior coaching at some stage?
Oh, geez, at the moment, Rennie, I think I've got my hands full with what's going on here. So, look, I'll make those decisions at the end of the year, Rennie, but I'm really focused on making sure we get this team where it needs to get to at the moment.
You feel like you're better placed now to look at something like that, Scott, after the experience you've had recently?
Oh, mate, you never stop learning in this game. So, you ride the highs and the lows and you learn along the way. So, I guess I've seen a lot in 12 years, particularly at this footy club. So, yeah, that puts you in a good stead, but it's not the be-all and end-all. So.
Campo, the forward pressure was down again on Saturday. That's been an issue for a while now. How do you fix that?
Yeah, well, there's a combination. One, it's holistic as how we move the ball inside there and the number allocation when it gets in there. So that's a bit of system. It can be personnel as well, and they're probably the main two that we've got to keep looking at.
So that people didn't bring in to solve that issue? I suppose Eddie Best was the one that springs to mind.
Well, clearly not.
Clearly not.
What
Okay.
about your clearances? They were really down on the weekend. What do you do to lift them back up to better numbers?
Yeah, no, well, yeah, clearly they were down on the weekend, but once again, over the course of the year, I think we've been pretty good. I don't think we've lost too many head-to-head over the course of the year, but it's a really important part of our game plan. Gives us field position, allows us to lock the ball in our front half, allows us to set up behind the ball, and those things are really important to us. So we got our colours lowered on the weekend, so we're forever trying to find ways to get better, and that group's a pretty proud group in there. They'll be pretty disappointed, and I'll expect a response.
When you say, with Lee's point about forward pressure, either personnel or holistic approach, you can't bring in players outside your list. So is it tactically? I mean, you need to find the right players who are able to implement what you want them to implement.
Yeah, there's part of that. It's once again system. It comes down to how we can move the ball in our front half to make sure we've got, I guess, density in there as well. But also there's got to be a level of the whole team's effort to keep the ball in the front half, not just forwards as a whole.
So are you asking players to do more than they're capable of, or are players not doing what they're told?
No, they understand as to what we need to do, and it doesn't happen all the time, and that's the way the game ebbs and flows. There's things in other facets of the game that doesn't happen as well. So we're focusing on one area, but there's other areas that we need to keep making sure of as well.
Why the breakdown, the drop-off? I mean, your first half of the season was league leading in that area. I think you were ranked first or second for points conceded out of defensive half, and now you're sort of the bottom 2 or 3. That's a significant change.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's something that we're still trying to get answers to and make sure. Once again, is it system? We've got to keep. We're in this together. It's not just a group of players. It's not just the forwards. It's not just the midfield. It's not just the defenders. It's a whole team approach. So we'll continually try and find ways to make sure we get back to that level. So teams evolve, opposition evolve. So what we did in the first half before the bye, teams obviously do things differently in the second half, and watch how what you change.
Campo, you're a calm man. Don's a calm man. I think Chappie in the paper this morning was saying, you know, we preach a bit of patience. Is there a tipping point? Do you reach a tipping point and you go, we need to change things drastically, or are we approaching that? Or are you still happy where the direction is?
Yeah, well, we've sort of. It's hard because we've seen halves of footy where we've done things really well and at the level. That's probably the most frustrating thing, I guess, that, you know, in games over the last 4 weeks we've played really good halves and we've seen things that we really wanted to, that we're trying to implement, but then second halves we probably haven't been able to execute it. So we think we've got the right mix in there. It's just about doing it for longer periods of time, really.
Campo, if Alex Keith has been named towards the West Coast game in 2 weeks, why was he taking the Melbourne as the emergency for Saturday's game?
Yeah, well, because he'd played with his ankle injury for 3 weeks. After talking in match committee and the medical discussion, as we do every week, there was the process there that we said, is there an opportunity to give him some rest to help that get better over a period of time? The conversation was around that, but there was also the conversation he's still available to play if we needed him. So clearly it was a decision that if we did need him to come in, he would be able to play. But the reality of that one was we still wanted some guys to be able to play at SANFL level. So if we had taken guys out, then they would have to travel and not play. And we clearly want guys in form from a selection point of view. So maybe a slightly hard one to understand, but he was available to play if we needed him to. But the medical advice was, and the match committee was, let's give him a spell. He's played a lot of footy this year for us and at a really high level, and we think he's really important to us, and we want to make sure that he's in a good headspace physically, that he can play the game.
In hindsight though, was it the wrong call not to play him given how strong Carlton's forwards, especially like Levo Casbolt, and they were in the air on Saturday?
Yeah, well, if you have a look, if you were looking light for light, Andy Otten did a pretty good job on McKay.
Does Eddie have to do any more, Campo?
Well, we'll have a discussion. As I said, I haven't sat down and watched the tape intimately yet, so we'll have a look at what he brought on the weekend. And once again, if he deserves an opportunity to play, then we'll get him in, absolutely.
Is there anything specific you're looking for outside of sort of pressure and hitting the scoreboard?
No, they're two pretty good things that we need him to bring.
Campo, you talked about lots of things defensively and that rebounding from the opposition. You talked about teams evolving. You evolved after round 4. I think you made some changes in that.
Yep.
Are you still trying? Is there a lack of confidence in moving the ball quickly forward?
I don't think there's a lack of confidence. We understand, well, the game says if you move the ball quickly, then you're probably going to get better scoring opportunities. We need to make sure we bring it at a level of speed where we can defend the ground as well. That's probably the short answer.
How important is this game on Saturday? Do you think you can beat St Kilda?
Yes, we think we can beat St Kilda. Yeah, clearly it's important. We're 4 games left into a final series. The destiny's in our hands. If we deserve the opportunity to play finals, we'll win games enough to make it through there. So this week is the one that we need to win. Can't worry about the other games, but we clearly need to get back on the horse and get back to work and find that winning feeling again, which is what the players are crying out for.